Will Leach and I, recorded a Seeing Red yesterday, and we both agreed, and this is why I said it's a little outdated. We both agreed, Victor Scott's really exciting, but that's probably it's too soon. It's probably too soon. That's too soon. In fairness to the young man, it's too soon. That's too soon. Let me ask that again. Is it really too soon? As every day goes by, I'm thinking maybe people like me that say, too soon. When is it ever too soon for a talented guy who is on fire in terms of performance and can do things for your team that no one else on your team can do? But how is that too soon? Yeah, they don't have anybody steal bases like this. They don't have anybody who runs bases like this. They don't have anybody that can get on base a lot, because not only is he a developing hitter and getting stronger and hitting the ball hard, but Victor Scott also, he bunts his way on base. He outraces ground balls to first base, gets on base that way. He's the best center fielder they have, and he really is. I mean, I'm sorry. Tommy Edman's good. This guy won a Gold Glove in all the minor leagues in center field last year, and he just covers everything. You could put him in Yellowstone National Park, and he'd get to everything. He's fast and fast and fast and faster. And he's making a case, especially with two outfielders down, Nootbaar and Edman. He's making a very emphatic push for a spot on the 26-man roster. I think it's okay to say, preach a little caution and say, well, it's too soon. But the more he continues to do this, the less you're going to say it's too soon. I'm speaking for myself. It's a performance-based business, and I know it's spring training. But when you have a rookie like this with a very unique skill set that the Cardinals don't have, otherwise they don't have, yeah, you do pay attention to what he does in these games, because this is a special case, and he's making a case, and he knows he's making a case, and the Cardinals are giving him an opportunity to make a case. So yeah, when he plays, the spring training performance does matter, unlike a lot of players. And today the Cardinals ventured to Fort Myers to play the Boston Red Sox. I saw photos on Twitter, courtesy of Derek Gould. There was just a big bear hug embrace between Ali Marmol and Tyler O'Neill around the batting cage as they greeted each other. And I looked at that and I'm thinking, I don't. Wait a minute now. Is this a real photo? Or is this like one of those, like that Kate Middleton thing? What is this exactly? Is this real? Right?
Yes.
I'm thinking even sports fans know about the Kate Middleton thing, but maybe I shouldn't assume anything. They put out, the Palace put out a photo of her with her kids just to show, oh, no, she's okay. There's no health issues. Everything's fine. Then as it turned out, it was it was an edited photo, and it got exposed, and then the Palace took, the Palace recalled the photo, and everyone saying, well, what the hell's going on now? Anyway, so I looked at that. It's kind of sad I have to explain that, but whatever. So yeah, I'm looking at that photo, of Ali hugging O'Neill, and I had two thoughts. I shared the first one. Well, is this real? And the second thing I thought, well, if it's real, if you're the Red Sox, you're running the trainers out there because O'Neill might be hurt again. He gets hugged by somebody, and who knows? It might be IL time again. All right, let's get to the main course. So Victor Scott today batted leadoff. He was 3 for 3. He got hit by a pitch. I don't know if they were throwing at him or not, because he's annoys the other team. That's another thing to love about him. Anyway, he was 3 for 3. He got hit by a pitch, so he reached base all 4 times. He stole a base, his 4th of the season. and he scored 2 runs. So that means after today, he is now hitting .370, and that includes a .500 batting average in 6 games in March, 9 for 18. He's hitting .370. His on-base percentage just keeps rising and rising and rising. And I don't know else how to put it. He's you got to take this. I was disinclined to take this seriously because I thought it was a little premature. But every time we realize you can't trust the Cardinals in terms of injury information or timetables, and then you see what he's doing, why wouldn't he be on the team? Let's say Edman and Nootbaar are both unavailable for the start of the season. Maybe it's for the first couple of weeks. I have no idea. Are the Cardinals going to try to convince anyone with a straight face that Victor Scott's not better than anybody else they have to start in the outfield with the exception of Jordan Walker? Because Scott doesn't have Walker's heft as a hitter, but he's a better defender. But my point is, are they really going to try to tell us that, Dylan Carlson is a better choice in center field than Victor Scott? Or tell us that Mike Ciani is more deserving of a roster spot than Victor Scott? Or Alec Burleson? Oh, we'll go back to playing Walker and Burleson in the corners. Yeah, we know that they were a minus 21 combined last year in a corner outfield spot in terms of outs above average. Yeah, we know that, but we're going to go back on what we said about how defense really matters this year. Well, we lost Edman and Nootbaar. They're really good defensive players, but we don't have anybody else. Whoa. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You absolutely have somebody else. And he's looking like he's ready to go. We've seen this movie before. 1985, Vince Coleman gets sent to Louisville. That was the Cardinals' AAA affiliate at the time. And then about 5-6 games into the season, Tito Landrum pulls an abdominal muscle, outfielder. And so the Cardinals call up Vince Coleman. And Del Maxfield, the general manager, tells him, and this was a quote that was in the papers at the time, "Hey, look, Vince, you've had a nice spring, but I want you to realize right now that you're only going to be with us for about a week, and then you'll be sent to the minors." Coleman's response was, "Yes, Mr. Maxfield, I understand, but I want you to know that I'm going to be here the whole year." Vince Coleman never went back to the minors. 752 stolen bases during his 13-season career in the majors, including 549 as a Cardinal. Only Lou Brock had more. Franchise history. Vince Coleman wears the red jacket. He was enshrined in the Cardinals Hall of Fame. All right, fast forward to 2001. There's a big rookie kid down there in Jupiter tearing the place up, hitting home runs through the windows of the at that point, it was the Montreal Expos complex that they shared with the Cardinals in Jupiter. I mean, he's hitting home runs that are like landing on the building of their facility, their office space, like beyond the left field wall. And I always tell the story. I was watching batting practice with Tony La Russa one day, and Tony La Russa was watching Albert Pujols swing the bat, hitting these rockets, and Tony La Russa was making animal sounds. He said, and I'm like, well, if TLR is making animal sounds, I'm thinking Albert Pujols is pretty damn good. But we weren't sure if he was going to make the opening day roster. But then Bobby Bonilla helped out by straining a hamstring. And Albert Pujols was given a jersey. He was given a uniform for opening day. And he stayed. He stayed a long time, actually. And about 30 years later, I'm exaggerating, he came back for another year with the Cardinals. Cooperstown bound. Bobby Bonilla got it started by getting hurt. Thank you. Tito Landrum, thank you. You got things started for Vince Coleman by getting hurt. So, Vince Coleman back in '85, they lost the first game that he played, and they fell to 2-6. And as I mentioned the other day, the rest of the season, regular season, they were 96-52. That was a .648 winning percentage. They won 101 games and the National League pennant. He had 110 steals and scored 107 runs. Oh, but the 2024 Cardinals might, we really think it would be best for him to have some time in Memphis. We don't want to put too much on him. So they may try to sell that to the peoples that are buying the tickets. They may try to tell them, we just think that for what we have now, and we think Tommy and Newt will be back really soon. We just think that for what our purpose is now, it makes more sense to have Mike Ciani here. Oh, okay. Okay, I think if that's what you're all thinking down there, I think Victor Scott II is trying to get you to change your story, change your minds, change your narrative, change your spin. He's doing it every day, trying to get you to say, no. We can't overlook this. We can't reduce the magnitude of this. All we do is get outfielders hurt or underperforming. So who the heck are we to say, it's too soon? They don't have anybody like him on that team. Victor Scott, if you count the Arizona Fall League last year, he swiped 117 bases, I think. Cardinals haven't had a player in a regular season steal more than 38 bases since Delino DeShields got 57, I believe, in 1999. That's how long it's been. And the Cardinals did not take advantage of the new rules last year that made it much easier to steal bases. Major League teams averaged 117 stolen bases. That was the 30-team average, 117 bases stolen. Cardinals had 101, and they ranked 20th in stolen bases. What did we talk about all of last season? Mm-hmm. If they don't hit home runs, good luck. And not just a couple of home runs. They need to hit 3 home runs to win in most cases. So is that the kind of offense you want to have again, huh? Really? And you want to take a guy as your best center fielder, and you want him playing center field in Memphis. And with your guys out, you're gonna go with Walker in right. You're gonna have Dylan Carlson in center, provided that he can get there without getting hurt, and Big Burley in left. But you're all about improving the defense, though, right? Isn't that what you were telling us, huh? See, we can't let them get away with this nonsense again, right? And some of you listening to me who don't like me, you're going to say, you're the one who was saying it was too soon. You're damn right I was saying it. But that's why they have these games. That's why they give prospects and young guys a chance to make a case. And the more he plays and the more of an opportunity they give him, the more impressive he becomes. So, your brain would have to be malfunctioning in ways that basically it's unrecoverable for you to not note what this kid's doing and say, is it really too soon? It ain't. It's not looking that way. It's looking like maybe somebody's ready. So you can rip me all you want. It's a performance-based industry, and performances change. And only the most arrogant moron in sports media would just say, I said this last week, so I can't now say, you know what? He's really making a push. We got to rethink this. I'm not that arrogant, and I'm certainly not that stupid. You have to look at this now. You have to take it more seriously. Some of you were taking it more seriously than I was. Tip of the cap to you, seriously. But I don't know. It's pretty exciting. One other thing, and I'm going to ask Jim Hewer what he has to say about this. I'll talk about Victor Scott the second for like 2 hours today if I wanted to. Another little factor here. Cardinals fans, and I got to town in time for this, not 1982, but 1985. I don't think Cardinals fans have ever been happier than they were in the 80s with Vince Coleman, Ozzie Smith, Willie McGee, others stealing bases all over the place, terrorizing catchers, making fielders freeze up because they're making these mad dash sprints from first to third when normally you'd say, well, there's no way that the guy can get from first to third, or there's no way he can score from second on that. But they would score just about every time. So you'd see the fielders, the pitchers, the catcher, they'd all be, demoralized. They'd be even more demoralized because you see Ozzie and Vince Coleman and Willie McGee and others just taking hits away from them left and right. Remember how the Cardinals' attendance had been down, and you remember what happened in the 80s, right? Mm-hmm. That style of baseball was so exciting. That team was so thrilling to watch. Yeah, they had some bad years in there too. But they won 3 pennants and a World Series in the 80s with the style that became known as Whitey Ball. And Cardinals fans have had a lot of other very happy times, don't get me wrong. I know it's fashionable to act like they haven't had a good season in like 20 years or whatever. But I actually, kind of go with the facts. How many tickets, how many extra tickets, how many more tickets do you think Bill DeWitt would sell with Victor Scott as an attraction? Not as an attraction as in a gimmick. Not as an attraction as like, he's one of the, circus performers. Someone who can play, someone who can give you an entirely new dimension of creating runs, and someone who can prevent runs with exceptional defense. How many people do you think would want to come down and, watch this guy run around and do some pretty magical things? You think he'd sell some tickets? Oh, I think he'd sell some tickets because from what we hear all the time, everybody's down on the Cardinals. This team's dull. It's going to be like last year. Nothing has changed. It's going to be the same old boring team. Yeah, I think Victor Scott might sell a couple tickets or 3 maybe. Or maybe thousands of tickets. I don't know. I think he would connect the 2024 Cardinals to a very celebrated past. There would be a connection there because that's that style of ball that this town loved so dearly for so long and has always wanted it to come back. Poor Mike Matheny. You say, well, what are you talking about? Well, there was a spring training ritual. It didn't matter, if the Cardinals had a collection of position players that could have been the slowest in terms of running, the slowest speed ever recorded in the history of mankind. Didn't matter. Spring training with Matheny every year. Mike, you think this team's going to play a little Whitey Ball? Mike, you got that one guy can steal like 12 bases. Is this the start of Whitey Ball? You going to push it? You going to play some Whitey Ball? Oh yeah, we're going to be real aggressive. And multiple years they led, if that's the word, Major League Baseball in getting people thrown out on the bases because they didn't have the team that could run. But the media in this town and fans in this town, even when they had a team that was not even remotely capable of playing that style, complete opposite kind of team. Hey, Mike, are we going to see some Whitey Ball? Yeah, I talked to the team about it. We're going to try to stir it up. We're going to try to be more aggressive. Yeah, I think you'll see a little Whitey Ball. No, we didn't. Didn't see any Whitey Ball. Anyway, Jim Hewer,
yes, sir.
I've been talking for 25 minutes on a subject that has me pretty cranked up. So, look, I could be cranked up by an emerging story that's pretty exciting, brings back some memories. I could do that, or I could just sit here and be a crab about everything.
Oh, this is good because this is live. This is really happening. I'll tell you, I got to catch a little bit off and on today of the Red Sox radio broadcast because that was available.
Smart to you for you to do that.
I was in the office and I didn't get everything, but the first inning I got. I just take because Castiglione's a veteran. He's been doing Sox games forever, and I'll tell you what jumped out at me the first couple things. And I can't remember if Scott was a bunt or he reached on an infield hit, chopper, whatever it was. But he reached in the first inning on that way, and you hear Joe Castiglione go, wow, this guy's pretty fast. Well, then he goes and steals second, and he goes, wow, this guy's really fast. And to hear somebody else jump out and see him for the first time go, uh-oh, they got something here. And that's kind of what you took from that broadcast today. He continues to make plays. You know, we talked a little bit, and I kind of said yesterday, I think the Cardinals won't admit it, but they're closer than they want to be to him getting this opportunity. And then he has another day like today. This thing is real, Bernie, like you're saying. Especially with the others having all the issues that are going on in center field. And if this guy can go get the ball and play good defense and affect the ball game, you'd be silly not to put him in your lineup. I don't care about what you're trying to do to, adjust time and all that. If he can do that, he needs to play here because right now he looks the part. And like I said, when I listened to the broadcast today off and on and hearing them just go, whoa, this guy, he's legit. He can play. This guy's really fast. It wasn't just fast. He's really fast. And it was mentioned he's outrunning the baseball, that kind of thing. When you have that special of a talent and he's not overwhelmed, and so far he's not, you got to let the guy go, man. Let him run.
He's already kind of rattled fielders. I mean, catchers get rattled. The Washington Nationals catcher over the weekend, he was so on guard about Scott trying to steal that, Scott was doing kind of like, I'm fake going or whatever, and so the catcher just springs up and makes a wild throw,
Yeah.
And, Scott wasn't even running. He wasn't even trying to steal a base. But he was on the catcher's mind, and he forced an error. And then happily just went from there to third base, just like that. He moved up 2 bases just because he had the threat of speed that rattled the catcher. Oh, yeah, the Cardinals have plenty of that on their team, don't they? Right?
If you have that in your arsenal, you need to use it. It's a lost tool, I guess we'll say, in the toolbox. Because, I mean, you saw it, Bernie, in the 80s. I saw it. If you had that player, he'd affect the game in a way that it doesn't get done anymore. To exactly what you're describing. Teams go, oh, we got to pay it. They start throwing the ball around, start thinking about it, getting distracted by it. It is really something that doesn't affect the game as much anymore. But if you have it, and this kid has it, you got to use it. Let it go.
I went back to the archives, and this is why. I always like to be able to connect the present with the past if it's applicable, if it's relevant. And so I was doing some archive searching, and there was a game in spring training in 1985 where Vince Coleman had a couple of hits. He stole a couple of bases. He had a triple, which apparently just got people all charged up because he was just as fast as he was running. And again, people weren't familiar with him yet. It was just like a comet, And it was like, whoa. So Whitey Herzog told Rick Hummel and other reporters this after the game, and I quote about Vince Coleman, quote, "You talk about a man with a future. If the circumstances were right, we could take him and put him out there, and he'd probably be Rookie of the Year." Well, they did send him down to Louisville. He did not open the season with the team. But they got off to a 2-5 start. They looked terrible, and nothing happening. Tito Landrum pulled an abdominal muscle, and it's like, well, we got to, Maxie, I think we got to get. I think you got to get Coleman up here. You know.
Yes.
He came. Yeah, he came up here, never left, never went back. I just love that. I love the things that history can tell us. Because Coleman wasn't supposed to be on the team till maybe later in '85. Don't we sort of say that, or weren't we saying that about Victor Scott II? Yes. Yeah, we were. I thought we knew Pujols would be up sooner than later if, in fact, they would have sent him to Memphis. I think that would have been roundly criticized, but if they had sent him to Memphis, he would have hit his way back to the Cardinals, and I would think a pretty short time. But if it was okay to ask those questions then, I think it's okay to ask the question about Victor Scott now. And I like to play defense because I like to think what some people are thinking as they are reacting to what I just said. Well, Bernie, you're talking about Vince Coleman. He's a Cardinals Hall of Famer. He stole nearly 800 bases and stole 750 bags. You're talking about Vince Coleman, Cardinals Hall of Famer. You're talking about Pujols. He's one of the greatest players in the history of the game. Yeah. And I'm not saying Victor Scott's going to have a career like they did. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not that fired up. The point is the team sent Coleman down, and they didn't put him on the opening roster. They didn't know what he was going to do, and you didn't know what he was going to do either. You didn't know he was going to have the career he was going to have. And even though Pujols absolutely kicked up a fuss down in Jupiter, and I was there watching it, it was pretty special to see what he could do. The feeling was, yeah, he's going to be here before long, but Tony La Russa thought it still would be best to send him to AAA, even if it's just for a month or something. So that's what they were saying then. And there's a parallel to what has been said around here lately. But including me, I have said it as well. Well, it's probably hey, no need to rush. Well, when you lose two outfielders, and one of them, Lars Nootbaar, gets hurt quite often, and the other one, Tommy Edman, it's just when he gets back, it's only a matter of days before he runs into a wall or something. You might want to have Victor Scott on your club. Another reason, Jim, and listen, I know I'm going long here. I'll end it on this. Another reason. There's another reason. Is he's a natural. He's a pure left-handed hitter. Gorman hits left. When Nootbaar's healthy, he hits left. Burleson hits left. Donovan hits left. But with guys banged out, banged up, it's not like they're overloaded with left-handed bats right now, And my friends, don't even say, well, Carlson and Edmonds switch hit. Oh, do they? Well, now tell me how they do against right-handed pitching.
Yeah.
Victor Scott last year in the minor leagues ripped up right-handed pitching, right? Just ripped it up. He could not. Let me put it to you this way. We've seen Dylan Carlson the last couple of years try to hit right-handed pitching. Do you think Victor Scott would be any worse than that? Hell no. Because he's got speed, he's smart, he's tough, he's a mad competitor. He just wants to beat the other team. If he's got to bunt him to death, he'll do it. If he's got to turn that speed to a higher gear to beat out a ground ball, he's going to do it. If he's going to go first to third all the time on a single, he's going to score from first every time on a double. Does that sound like Dylan Carlson to y'all? And he's going to do a good job against right-handed pitching. It might take a little time. I would take him on this team than Dylan Carlson right now. If we're talking about who's the better player, who's got a higher ceiling, who's got more upside, who can do more things well, the answer is Victor Scott. We've seen enough to know that he is capable of doing more than Dylan Carlson. You agree, Jimmy?
I agree 100% with that. By the way, another side note, Brian Bayo was pitching for the Sox as the starter. He's expected to be their opening day starter. And
they just gave him a bunch of money.
Yep, and Victor Scott did not have any issues with him. And then you talk about over the weekend. I forget which left-hander it was, but I saw Scott take at bats against a lefty, and he didn't have any problem. First pitch, bang, base hit. I'm good.
And what he would do when he played, I was reading more about him. What he would do a lot, I can't tell you how many times. I know that he bunted for a lot of base hits, but he would really do it against left-handed pitchers. And he found it easier to do against left-handed pitchers. So that was his thing that just drove them nuts. You say, oh, here's a young guy, 22 years old, bats left-handed. We'll throw a lefty. Oh, our lefty's tricky. Good luck with this kid. Yeah, and it's like, well, he's just going to bunt your ass to death. It's no problem. Not an issue.